Got everybody muted so that we don't have background noise. But the new process is living from your core. Subtitle, that's the result of it. And from chaos to purpose. Now, really, I'm putting this together because a lot of people that I'm working with are just at ground zero. Their lives have been destroyed by any one of a number of things, and they're just needing to know how to get back on solid ground. So God really put it in my heart to develop this. So this is one of the segments. What I'm going to share with you tonight is one segment of that process. So I'm going to pull up the PowerPoint so that you can see it, and make that a little bigger for you. And again, I know some of you are just now coming on. We want to welcome you and thank you for being with us tonight. I always enjoy doing these webinars and giving you information, material that I believe can impact your life and giving you some tremendous value. I love what I do. I love the work that I do with all of my clients. And I know that everybody's not in a position that they'd like to be in at the moment to sign up for any of our for-fee processes. My experience is that when people are ready for that, somehow God makes it possible for them to do it. But I enjoy these times when I can just share stuff with you and give you a little insight of some of the things that have been poured into my heart and into my life. So, as I said earlier, the segment that we're going to do tonight is part of a 12-week process. And this is just one of those segments. And we call it Living from Your Core. And what we're going to look at tonight is some of the obstacles, basically dealing with obstacles and fears, something that every one of us has to deal with at some level or another. And at our core, when you think about the core of who we are, how we were created, how God made us, He didn't put any obstacles in us. He didn't put any unhealthy fears in us. So at our core, we don't have obstacles. We read in the Bible about people that have just do crazy stuff. Samson killing 1,000 Philistines with the jawbone of an ass. How do you do that? Some of the other great feats that we see in the Bible. And we think those are just Bible stories, but they're really not. I've personally had experiences with people that done crazy stuff. When I pastored in Oklahoma a lifetime ago, one of the ladies in our church, she was an average size woman. She wasn't a weightlifter or anything. She was a stay-at-home mom, housewife. Her husband was out working on his car, and the jack fell, and the car literally fell on him. And it's one of those stories, true story. She literally ran out and lifted the car off of him so he could crawl out from under it. Another lady that I know here in Phoenix, an elderly lady, was run over by a car. Actually, it was a Jeep at an intersection where her and her husband was on a walk, and she got hit, and the car literally rolled up on her, and she screamed, and the guy literally drove off of her, and she got up and brushed herself off. How do those kind of things happen? We see these people doing great exploits in sports. I don't know why this is true for me, but it is true. One of my favorite programs to watch is The World of Dance. I guess because I can't. I marvel at those that do. Some of the things that they do. And we see all these things take place that people do unrealistic things that many of us cannot do, but they're human beings and they can do them. And the challenge is for us getting out of our own way. It's one of the things that we talk about in Life Impact. We work with faith-based people who believe they can live a more vibrant life than they are, and we help them do that by getting out of their own way. And we've seen some phenomenal things take place in people's lives. So my point is that the way God created us, at our core, nothing is impossible. The Bible tells us that. So at our core, nothing is impossible. So discovering that core is very important. So tonight we're going to identify top 10 limiting beliefs. Now, this came out of a survey throughout America to find out what the top 10 limiting beliefs are. So I hope you've got a notebook and ready to take some notes, because you're going to have some to-do exercises here in a few moments. So get ready, and here we go. The top 10 limiting beliefs. These are very interesting. Number one, greatness is not something that I should aspire to. We have this culture that on one hand we're told we're supposed to be great, and on the other hand we're not supposed to be too great. We're not supposed to be too forward, not too strong. So we have this underlying belief that we're not supposed to aspire to be great. If it happens to us, then wonderful, but we shouldn't aspire to it. I'll come back to more of that later. As we go through these, I want you to pay close attention to the one that resonates with you the most, the top 2 or 3 that resonates with you the most. Number 2, I'm not good enough, pretty enough, smart enough, strong enough, rich enough, thin enough, sexy enough. You got it. You could go on and on with what we are not enough of. The world will always tell you what you are not enough of. It'll never tell you what you are good at. It'll always tell you what you're not good, what you don't have enough of. Number 3, limiting belief throughout our culture is that I am not lovable. Nobody could love me. I'm broken. I'm stained. I'm a reject. All the things that goes into not feeling like you are lovable. Number 4, interesting, is I will always be rejected. This is one of the top limiting beliefs, that we're always going to be rejected. Now, I have to be careful. I want to elaborate on every one of these, but I am going to speak to this one. The truth is, everybody's not going to like us, but neither is everybody going to reject us. So it becomes one of those limiting beliefs in our mind that keeps us from living from our core. Number 5, if I try something new, I will fail. Of course you will. You're supposed to. Because if we knew how to do it, it wouldn't be new. But a limiting belief is that we're not supposed to fail. We're not supposed to be disappointed. We're not supposed to ever have to do it over again. So it becomes a limiting belief that we're not supposed to fail, or that we are afraid that we will fail. Number 6, success is for other people. We got a typo there. We believe in imperfect action at Life Impact, and we practice it regularly. So people always finding our mistakes, and we're certainly okay with you pointing them out. We found that one ourselves. Okay, success is for other people. I wasn't born to the right family. I wasn't born at the right time. I didn't get the right break. I wasn't born with a silver spoon in my mouth. All those cliches that we come up with are really a sign of a limiting belief that we're not supposed to succeed, only other people are. Number 7, I don't deserve to be happy. I've actually had people say that to me. I don't deserve to be happy because of what happened to them or something that they did, or they got all kind of reasons or excuses as to why they can't be happy. And then number 8, my deep-rooted beliefs hold me back. Of course they do, because we have a deep-rooted belief that our deep-rooted beliefs will hold us back. So we get these mindsets, we get stuck in some of these areas. And now there are many more limiting beliefs. We're just giving you the top 10 that was done in the research that's true across the nation. So yes, we all have deep-rooted beliefs that may have served us well at one time in our life, but they may not be serving us well today. In fact, they could be holding us back. But here's one of the key factors about a belief. You have the privilege of changing your beliefs. See, here's where we're different than the animal world. The animal world doesn't have beliefs. The animal world has instincts. And they function out of their instincts. And they can't change their instincts. But we have beliefs, and we have the privilege to change our beliefs. Now, I've changed a lot of my beliefs over the years. Some of my theology, not God's theology, my theology has changed. Some of my beliefs from my childhood, my younger years, they have changed. If you're not changing, you're going to be stuck and held back. Now, when I was young in the church world I grew up in, they made you think that change was compromise. Actually, change is not compromise. Change is a sign of growth. And if you're not changing, you're not growing. If you're not growing, you're not changing. Okay, let's look at number 9 and number 10. I have to work hard to succeed. You know, that's an old belief system in our culture that was true many years ago. It's not so true today. People are not just rewarded for hard work, they're often rewarded for smart work. So it's not about how hard we work. In fact, I know some very, very hard working people who are not successful in relationships or finances or other areas of their life. And of course, it comes down to sometimes our definition of success, of course. Number 10, if I make money, people won't like me. Isn't that interesting that that's in the top 10 limiting beliefs that is prevalent throughout our culture? If I make money, people won't like me. Sometimes our limiting beliefs are self-statements. If I make money, people won't like me, could be a self-statement. I don't like people that make money or that have money. So that's something that we might want to examine. Okay, so I ask you to pick 2 or 3 of those that resonated with you. Maybe you have one that wasn't on the top 10. that you'd like to use in the exercise that we're getting ready to do. So one of the limiting beliefs, and write a sentence, give an example of your limiting belief. So I want to challenge you to do that. I've given an example here. I fear that if I succeed, people won't like me. My friend, I've worked with people with this very fear. My friends won't hang out with me anymore. I would have to leave my job, or my family wouldn't. They would think I was stuck up, or they would think I thought too highly of myself. See, limiting beliefs are a protector of our fears. Now, I want to give you a moment to wrap your head around that. A limiting belief is a protector of fears. Now, using the example that we have on the screen here, I fear that if I succeed, people won't like me. So really, the fear here is people won't like me, so I'm afraid of succeeding. So the fear becomes the protector, or the limiting belief becomes the protector of our fears. So anytime that you identify a limiting belief, we want to look behind that limiting belief as to what the fear is that you're protecting. Okay. So I want to give you a moment to write a sentence. I fear, or I am afraid, or the idea of blank makes me fearful. Now, you're not limited to this format. If you want to write a different one, you can. But I want to give you a moment to do that.
Like a minute, 2 minutes? You can just hit pause when you're done, okay?
I will give you just a little more time, 2 more seconds. Okay, come back to that in a few moments if you'd like, or after we get off of the call. Now write a sentence that reflects what life would be like without the fear. If I did not fear, fill in the blank, I would. And use 2 or 3 different fears that you have. Remember, the limiting belief is a protector of the fear. If I did not fear, I would, and you get to fill in both of those blanks. Please, you want to? Yeah. If I did not fear, I would. Take some time.
She's a preview.
Mm-hmm. I put my cursor on it. Okay. If you haven't finished that, you can certainly come back and work on it some more. Now, the next part of this is dealing with obstacles as well as your fears. Obstacles are different than limiting beliefs. Obstacles are different than fears. Obstacles justify our limiting beliefs, as well as reveals our desires. So I want you to think about this. At our core, God did not put any obstacles in us when He created us. He didn't say, I'm going to create you, but I'm going to give you some problems to have to deal with. Obstacles, now you're going to have to wrap your brain around this. Obstacles are things, thoughts, situations that we create. Now, I know if you were able to talk with me, you'd probably want to argue with me about this, because I've argued with myself about this and argued with the research that was done on this. But we actually create obstacles. Now, an obstacle only exists if we have a desire. If I don't have a desire to do something, I don't have an obstacle. I just don't want to do it. It's not a problem. But if I have a desire, an obstacle will be revealed. So it works both ways. Desires show us our obstacles. Obstacles show us our desires. An example would be, I would go back to school if I had time. Okay, so we have created the obstacle of time. We have made time an obstacle. The desire is to go back to school. Now, we always make time for what we want to do. All of us have the same amount of time, of course. We're all on a 24-hour clock. We all have 7 days in a week. We all have the same amount of days in a month. But it's what we do with our time. Now, one of the things that we teach in Life Impact is we don't teach time management. We teach time creation. We create the time to do the things that we want to do. Now, for you to remove the obstacle of time, you have to be willing to turn loose of some of the things that you're doing. So it's not time that's the obstacle. The obstacle is justifying the limiting beliefs. I can't go back to school. Whatever our belief about going back to school, I don't know if I could do the work. I don't know if I could get in. I don't know this. I don't know that. The challenge is that we remove the obstacle. I love this story. It's in my family. My daughter, a number of years ago, wanted a job in the education department of where she was living at that time in Claremont, California. And she wanted the job really bad, but she didn't have the degree that she would need to get the job. So I challenged her. I said, just go for the interview and just go for the experience of the interview. Now, my daughter had a lot of experience in childcare. She directed our childcare when we had one at our church, and she was very experienced in that area. So she went for the interview, came back, and she said, "Dad, they really wanted me, but I didn't have the degree that I have to have. They said, you have the experience, but you don't have the degree, so they can't hire you." Now, I've worked in education, and I know how it works. I told her, I said, "You know what? You give it 2 weeks, and let's see what happens." In 2 weeks, they called her back and said, "We want you to come back in. We want to hire you." And she said, "But it's only been 2 weeks. I don't have a degree." They said, "Oh, that's okay." They rewrote the job description. She had to get over the obstacle that they wouldn't hire her. Now, I'm going to speed you ahead 30 years. My granddaughter, my daughter's daughter, wanted to apply for a job in Colorado because my daughter and son-in-law were getting ready to retire and move to Colorado. And there was a job opening in the educational department. And so my daughter challenged her. It was a teaching position, but she doesn't have a teaching degree. She's got a BA in biology, but she doesn't have a teaching degree. So she went ahead and applied for the job. And so they told her they couldn't hire her as a teacher, but they would hire her as a teacher's aide. So she accepted it. Now hang on to this. The obstacle was she didn't have a teaching degree, but she didn't let the obstacle stop her from applying for the job. She went in as a teacher's aide. She had been there 1 week, and they said, "You know what, we're going to petition the Board of Education to forego your teaching credential, and we're going to ask them to give you a teaching credential." 1 week later, she had a teaching credential that's good anywhere in the state of Colorado now, because she didn't let the obstacle be the ruling factor. So this is a generational thing in the McRae family, my daughter and now my granddaughter. So obstacles are there because we place them there and we let them become the ruling factor. So going back to school, the lack of time is the obstacle. It reveals the desire to go back to school, and we always create an excuse to justify our fear. In this case, if the obstacle, justification for limiting belief, was removed, lack of time, what is your excuse? Fear for not going back to school. That's how you get back to your core, is looking at the limiting beliefs and the obstacles as things that have been imposed so that you can find the fear that needs to be faced, and then you can accomplish what you're wanting to accomplish. So when we state an intention, I intend to go back to school. So living from an intention is different than living behind an obstacle. So when we change our language, it helps remove the obstacle. Instead of saying, if I had time, I would go back to school, we change the language and say, I intend to go back to school. We make room for commitment to our goals, and the obstacles and fears give way to our purpose. So when we replace obstacles and fears with intention and purpose, it's like the obstacle and the fear becomes diluted, it's removed. We say unto this mountain, be thou removed, and it's cast into the sea. because now it's what we're motivated not by obstacles and fears, but we're motivated by intention and purpose. At our core being, all of us have a purpose. We come into this world with God's purpose. I had a conversation with somebody today, they might even be on this call tonight, who said, I can't find my purpose. It's because it's buried under the rubbish called life. But boy, when we start moving the rubbish out of the way, and that's what we do in Life Impact, we move the rubbish out of the way and we find that core of who you are, even if your world is in chaos, your life is in chaos. There's something in there that is you. I love this verse, first verse in the Bible. In the beginning, God created the earth. Then it says, the earth was without form and void. Eric Sowers, a prominent theologian of another generation, says about that statement, it's impossible for God to create something that is without form and void. So between in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth, and is without form and void, something took place. We don't know the time frame there, but something took place, and now the earth is without form and void. The earth is in chaos, just like your life might be in chaos. And then the Bible says the Holy Spirit hovered over and moved, and the waters and the earth were divided. And all of a sudden, out of chaos, come this beautiful blue planet that we have the privilege of living on. Out of chaos, God creates a new world. So in our process known as from chaos to purpose, we take your chaos, give you some tools so that you and God can experience a new world out of your chaos. We move you from chaos to intentional living by helping you remove obstacles and limiting beliefs so that you can turn your fears over to God and He can help you live from the place that He created you to live. Okay, I got to stop. I'm about to break into a sermon here.
Do you want any Q&A?
Excuses, limiting beliefs, and obstacles give you permission to ignore your own values, beliefs, and commitments, thereby setting aside any sense of personal power. I want to share that with you. Now, if you have questions, comments, you can type them in the comment, and Felicia will field them for me here in just a moment. Excuses, limiting beliefs, and obstacles give you permission to ignore or permission to hide from your values, beliefs, and commitments, thereby setting aside any sense of personal power. When you live from chaos to purpose, you find your personal power. And obstacles have to give way to intention and purpose. Every time. Okay.
No questions yet, but I can share.
Any questions, comments, or feedback?
You can send it in chat.
Okay. One of the things that we know, and anybody knows, but we emphasize a lot Life Impact. Personal growth does not happen by accident. Personal growth doesn't come just by knowledge. If that worked, all we'd have to do is read a book. Personal growth doesn't even come necessarily by experience, because you can keep having the same experience over and over and over and over again. Personal growth comes when we have a new experience. That's what renewing the mind is having a renewed experience in our subconscious. So everyone that has been truly successful had mentors and coaches to help them to get to where they are. That includes us at Life Impact. So you're going to be receiving an email for a special transformational coach certification package if you're on this call tonight. Felicia, you want to talk any about that? Let me just, yeah, it's better if you just come here. We try transferring it to her, but then it gets messed up.
Yeah, and I want to take advantage of this good lighting. Thanks. Hi guys, thank you so much for participating on this webinar. You guys are the reason why we continue to have them. So thank you for joining. Thank you for taking time out of your Tuesday evening. And make sure to write down any of your aha moments. I know for me, our limiting beliefs are the protector of our fears is huge. You know, that just brought me to some self-awareness of some fears that I still wasn't aware of. But that's the purpose of this is, you can't change something you're not aware of. So the first step is being self-aware of what those limiting beliefs are so that you can transform them. So as always, we love to give special offers for everybody that's taken a step towards their personal growth like you guys did tonight. Like Doc mentioned, this Living from Your Core is part of a new process that we have called From Chaos to Purpose, and it is so powerful. It's a 12-week process. You're going to have more information about that in your email, as well as an opportunity to have a free Living from Your Core session for clarity on what's the next step in living from your core. And the powerful thing is that when we begin living from our core and living from the essence of who we are, who God created us individually, and become that, it not only impacts our lives, but it impacts others' lives because it gives them permission to do the same. And so you're going to get more information about that. And also for those that are on the call that have been interested in our Transformational Coach Certification Program, we have a class that begins next Tuesday. Now, we very rarely offer them on Tuesday evenings. They're usually on Thursday evenings. So if Tuesday evenings work better for you to go through this certification program, definitely take advantage of this because we don't know when we will offer it again, if we will even offer it again this year on a Tuesday evening. So there's going to be information about that. Our Transformational Coach Certification Program is unlike any other one out there. And we've heard from many other coaches that have gone through other coaching programs, people that have doctorates in psychology, psychiatry, behavioral health, that our program is different. And one reason is that we first focus on you. You have to go through a self-leadership portion of the training, which is the first 4 weeks. And that's all about you becoming the best leader of yourself. Because like we say, you cannot lead others where you've not been. In fact, you will lead them into your own issues and limitations. And we will say that over and over again because it is true. So keep a lookout for that. There is a little bit of an urgency with that since it starts on Tuesday. So if you have any questions, feel free to reply to the email and or call our office. We'd be more than happy to talk to you about it. And tomorrow you will be receiving that plus the webinar replay from tonight. So you will get that. You can share it with your friends. You can take more time to write out that exercise. And again, thank you so much for being on the call tonight. We appreciate you all. And if you have any questions, make sure to shoot them now and Doc will address them as he comes back. So.
All right, thank you, and thank all of you for being on the call tonight. We've got a great a great group that's on, and hopefully you've received something from this that will bring value to your life and value to the people whose lives that you touch. So if there's not any other questions or comments, we will sign off for the night and let you enjoy the rest of your evening. So thank you for being on the call. God bless.